Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys had a good week. Today, Jolene and I are going to be telling you some ghost stories or personal experiences. Weather's getting a little cooler, depending on where you live, I guess. Getting me in that spooky mood. I'm going to tell you a personal experience, and Jolene's going to tell you a personal experience. Then we're just going to talk about it. Also, I want you guys to put some personal experiences in the comments. Tell me what's happened. Why are you interested in these cryptic topics like we are? My story I'm going to tell you happened when I was very young. I was only about 5 or 6 years old, and I grew up pretty poor, like definitely below the poverty line. And for entertainment, sometimes it was just drive around. And my mom liked to check out like old farmhouses and stuff like that were abandoned in the rural area that we lived. And me and my stepdad and my mom and cousin and her husband were just out riding around, and my mom seen this house that wasn't like way back off of the road, but it was like a typical driveway and then like a white stone farmhouse. And my mom was like, "Well, that house looks pretty cool. Let's go check it out." Obviously, nobody lived there. The windows were busted out. We were trespassing, but, it didn't look like anybody cared about the property. We'll just put it that way. So, me and my sister were fairly young. I was about 5. My sister was maybe a year old. So I would have been between 5 and 6. She was still in a car seat, baby. My mom told me to stay with my sister. Now, mind you, this is in the 80s when being 5 or 6 years old, it wasn't a thing to be left in the car. And it was not cold outside, but it wasn't hot outside either. And I remember my mom gave me a sweet tart sucker. And she was here, sit in the car, eat your sucker. We're just going to go in and walk around and we'll be right back. Don't get out of the car. And she locked the car door. The windows were down and stuff like that. We were way out in the middle of nowhere, so it's not like not like it was likely anybody was going to come up and snatch us. So they all go in the house and they're looking around, and I remember sitting in the car, and as you do when you're a kid, you're looking around and trying to entertain yourself. Now, my sister was a baby, so she wasn't much fun to talk to or anything like that. And I started looking at the house. And I was just scanning the house, like window to window, I remember. And I remember when I looked at the top left corner window of the house, there looked like there was a person standing there. It looked like it was a woman. She had her hair tied up in a bun. Her face was kind of distorted, kind of like if any of you are old enough to remember VHS tapes when the tracking was off, how it kind of looked glitchy. Not really snowy, but like where the video just wasn't lining up right.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what her face looked like. So, of course, that doesn't look right. So I started focusing on this person in the window. And about the time where I really started noticing her features, I heard this scream. And it wasn't a normal scream, it kind of sounded far away, but it was really high pitched and really loud. And at the same time I heard that scream, all 4 of the adults came flying out of the house like they looked like their asses were on fire. And my mom came immediately over to me and she's checking me over. She's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" She goes, "Oh my God, I thought I heard you choking." What?
What?
And that's what I remember responding, "What?" But that's what she told me. "I remember you, or she goes, I heard it sounded like you were choking." And I ran out, she's like, "That's why we all came out so fast." And I was like, "No, Mom, I'm fine. I just was sitting here eating my sucker looking at the house, and there was the lady, and when I pointed up at the window, there was nothing there in the window anymore." I didn't talk about this with anybody for a long time about exactly what I seen in the window. One, I was a little kid, so I wasn't exactly sure what I seen, but what has stood out to me over the years is I can still, in my mind's eye, see that house. And how I know that I can still see it perfectly is recently me, my mom, and my stepdad were telling this story to my brothers and sisters and their wives. And when I started describing the house, my stepdad finished my sentence as far as it being a white stucco house. There was shutters that were falling off, and then like he picked up right the mid sentence of me saying shutters falling off. So my memory of the house is the exact same memory of both my mom and my stepdad. So I know that what I remember happened. Also, the timing of the strange scream and them running out of the house, because my perspective was they heard the scream too. Talking to them later, my mom and they all said, and the cousin and the cousin's husband have all told me the same thing, that what they heard sounded like me choking, like loudly choking. And that's why they all ran out, like, oh my God, because they knew I had a sucker. So it was possible, but that's not what I heard. I heard not really like a blood curdling scream, just a really high pitched, like weird frequency scream. The lady in the window and just the weirdness of the situation wasn't the rest of the story. We left that day one about our daily lives for, I think it was a couple weeks later. My mom and I were driving back out in the area because the cousin and the husband's family lived out in that area. We were going out to visit, and my mom took that road. And when we got to the place on that road where that house was, she stopped in the driveway. And where that house stood was about a 150-foot tree in the middle of the foundation. There wasn't a house there. And that tree was far too large for it to have been demolished in 2 weeks and grown that big. So I cannot tell you what was in that house because there evidently is not a house there. But
That's some creepy shit.
that was my very first paranormal experience. And like I said, I can close my eyes and take you through a description of that house. It was an old stucco house. There was cracks up it, like really old stucco where parts of it falls off. The windows, the bottom windows were broken out, and they looked like the houses, the little house in the prairie houses where there are little square windows or little squares of window panes,
Mm-hmm.
like a bigger window. The bottom windows look like that, and the top windows look like regular, double pane windows. And with tattered curtains and the broken windows downstairs that you could see move in, and they were red, faded red checker print. I'm telling you, can remember this house in great detail. That doesn't exist.
That's some scary shit. That's a cool first experience, though. That's way cooler than the shit I heard or seen or whatever.
What people, tell me that that's something that annoys me about watching reactors on YouTube reactors is, they'll comment on how the person reacted to the situation. I can tell you from 100% certainty, I was a child, and probably because I was a child, I didn't know how to process what I was seeing or feeling or anything else. But you don't react to what you don't understand how you think you're going to. It's not voluntary. And that may be just standing there watching what's unfolding in front of you because you want to understand what's happening because nothing is making sense. You maybe not run away from it. You might walk towards it. I think that's probably what started my curiosity into paranormal, and maybe there is a veil that's lifted and we get to see other sides or other planes when the timing's right. And I think maybe that's that's what we ran into, is for some reason at that moment in time, something, I don't know, there's also the possibility that I thought of with the tree growing through the foundation. There's the Amish, they plant trees over the graves of witches. So I wondered if that was something like that, that a tree was planted on purpose on the foundation of that house because something bad would happen there. But I don't remember the address. Of course, it happened so long ago. My parents don't know the address. I could probably drive to a general vicinity of where it's at, but I don't remember exactly to find out any further information on the property. But it's definitely what cracked that Pandora's box open for me, that things aren't always what we think they are.
That is fucking creepy. That would that would definitely make me curious too if that shit happened to me.
I don't tell that story often, and
I don't
it's
remember
funny.
you ever telling me that story.
No, because it still scares the shit out of me. The memory of it scares the shit out of me, of just the possibilities of what could have happened. Who knows what that place was? It could have been a portal, it could have been, I've learned it could have been many possibilities of what that was, and none of them usually end good.
Could have been a witch's grave.
Could have just been who knows? Can demons trap people?
Can they track people?
Trap. Like, make traps,
Oh, probably.
That's an interesting possibility. The disappearing thing. I know that there was a house there. I watched 4 people walk in it that described to me hardwood floors, busted out old slapboard, type walls, that they gave great detail to me what the inside of the house looked like. They touched things and things like that, like touched the mantle and stuff like that, and none of that was there. It was literally a concrete slab with a huge crack in it, and a tree, a great big huge oak tree growing out of the middle of it. What that was.
I sure as shit can't. That's creepy, I can tell you that. It's definitely creepy.
Your house wasn't lacking on the creep factor.
No, but it wasn't like that either. What made me start believing was just hearing footsteps, because we had the attic, which was where me and my sister were, when I would be home by myself when everybody else would be gone. And we had dogs, but they would be like always in the same room that we were in, and you would hear footsteps in the attic.
Remember that you and I we were not supposed to be home. Like, we were skipping school at your house that day, and nobody else was there.
Yeah, that's what I meant by me being home alone.
Your brothers would be gone at school, and your mom would be at work. And I remember being downstairs watching TV in the living room, and we would hear some clear as day, like somebody walking across from where you had your little TV room that was your sister's room at one time, all the way to your bedroom. And we would go up there and there'd be nothing there. And I also remember we were not supposed to be home one day. And we were supposed to be at school. We were skipping school at your house, and your dad came by the house. And we weren't expecting him, obviously. And we hurried up and ran upstairs, and we were hiding in the actual attic part of your bedroom. And we could hear footsteps all the way around us, and we couldn't react because we weren't fucking supposed to be there. And you and I, we were both looking at each other like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then your dad finally left, and we came out of the attic, but I also remember being pushed up those stairs. Like,
Up
being
them?
pushed hard enough to where I fell up them. I fell down them drunk enough times, but
I fell down them once, but I don't know. I wasn't drunk because I was little. Well, really young. I don't remember if I was pushed, but I did fall.
but what I thought was interesting about being pushed up the stairs is I felt something on my like lower back push, and I fell forward. When I was pushed, there was some form of negative exchange. I don't remember who it was or what the situation was. Like maybe an argument with one of your brothers or something like that, but it was where I was angry at somebody in the house, and it was probably your brothers were probably like pissing us off being little brothers, and like maybe yelling at one of them or something like that, but it was directly after something like that that I was pushed. So whatever was on the street was protective. Like, you don't live here.
I don't know if I. Well, I don't remember. Remember that picture in that little. What are those fucking things called? There's an actual. Is it a linen closet?
Yeah, in the hallway between the bathroom
Yeah.
and the bedroom. Yeah, the picture that didn't make sense how it got there.
It's still there. My daughter says it's still there. Because she lives in that house now.
I remember the basement having a funny feeling to it too. Like, I never wanted to be in the basement very long.
I don't remember. I've never liked any basements, so I probably never wanted to be in there because all basements freak me out. But I remember that one back, let's see, like when you go down the stairs and then you come off here and then there's like that room, big open room, there's this side and then this side. Off on this side where nobody ever went was creepy. It was like all dark and more run down than the other part, and nobody was over there ever.
I just remember I didn't like the way that basement felt. Like, we didn't go down there very often.
My daughter uses it. They have it. It's like they have a pool table down there. It's like the game room now. My sister, she said that she was in bed one night, and like I said, our rooms were in the attic. So there's nothing above, there but the roof. And she said she heard footsteps on the roof. And then, well, you remember how the windows were. One side, or one on one end and then one on the other end.
Right.
She was looking out the window and she said she heard, well, first she heard heard the footsteps. And then they stopped by, towards the edge of the roof. And a noose, she said a noose, dropped down from the top of the roof. That's always troubled me.
Especially because that roof does have a pretty steep pitch.
Right, it's not a flat roof at all. So how somebody was up there walking, I don't know.
A lot of good memories in that space, though. Even though there was some creepy vibes, I remember it always sounded like something was on the other side of the wall in your bedroom, like where the actual attic space was. It always sounded like something was in there.
And that area was like extra creepy. Plus, we didn't have a door over it. It had that sheet there, and not instead of a door. We did have bats in there, too. But they didn't just make noise at night. They, like, flew out at night.
Right.
They didn't hang out in there.
If there was a bat in there, it usually ended up in your room and you were playing.
We usually caught them, and
But it wasn't, like, the noises we were hearing weren't animal sounds. They were, like, shit being drugged and there wasn't nothing in there to drag.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing in there. I don't remember like when we would go in there to check to see if there was an animal that got caught in there or something like that. I don't remember there being anything in there that
No, I
could
don't
be.
remember ever having, other than a bat, and your normal, we'd have mice occasionally. But our dogs, because we had so many, well, I guess not a lot of dogs, but we had like 2 to 3 dogs the whole time we lived there. And they were always good, or one of them was good at catching the mice. Like she thought she was a big cat. Raven, she was the one that was like, but those were the only things ever seen in there. Well, you know the part where you go up the stairs and then there's just kind of that middle part. My bed was there for a while when I was like really young. I had my bed here and the dresser was like right here. So there's not even really any space between the dresser and the bed, or the foot of the bed, And I felt something kick my bed. Like my bed freaking moved. Because I was like laying down like this and I jerked up like, who the fuck is kicking my bed? Especially because there was nobody up there. Maybe my sister, but she was wherever her bed was at the time. Sleeping probably because it was at night. Just those few experiences were enough. And that dude's photo.
You'll have to put a picture.
I might still have one. If not, I can get my daughter to take one and give it to me. And I can put that in the pictures.
Maybe if somebody knows how that picture could have got... What we're talking about is the mirror is on a door that opens up to a linen closet. So there's not... And it's an old mirror, so it's the painted mirrored on glass. So you couldn't get anything behind the mirrored part.
It did have a crack in the glass, though.
But still, that mirror wasn't the kind of mirror that, like they have now, where it's like a piece of foil that you could peel down and put the picture in and then put the foil back.
Right.
It was actual paint. And that picture is in between the mirrored surface and the glass.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the glass.
Yeah, like you would probably have to break the whole mirror to get to the picture, which would be why it is still there. What's really weird, though, is that I cannot find anything on the house, like any history on the house. And that, I was looking for, any history on the house to see if I could find out who that was. And there's like nothing. The only information I can find on the house is who the last few owners were, and that's all been family. So I have no idea.
Do your parents remember who they bought the house from, like the seller's names?
I don't think so, because I mentioned it to my mom, and she didn't say anything about knowing. I don't know. That picture is creepy, though, because the eyes, I swear, they follow you.
It's just strange because there's how old the mirror is. I don't see how you could get a picture, even if the glass was broken, how you could get it in between the mirrored, what makes it a mirror in the first place, that's painted on, and the glass itself. Because it's not like two pieces, it's one piece of glass.
I miss that linen closet, though. That was like a great thing to have. I don't have any kind of storage like that now. I would kill for one of those.
I always liked the layout of that house.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. It was kind of open, but yet not open,
Right.
which is good. I'm trying to remember what my daughter told me. She's heard like the children's toys and stuff go off by themselves. I think she says she's heard footsteps up in the attic as well.
Did your brothers have any experiences?
No, I don't know. If they did not tell me. Even if they did, they may not have remembered because they were young. Or, maybe they just didn't notice anything.
Or too young to realize that it was something that wasn't normal.
Right. I mean, I never saw anything or anything like that, but just the feelings you would get sometimes. And then the footsteps was like an all the time thing. And obviously, if my daughter's still hearing footsteps, like it's still doing it.
Now, where the attic space is too, there you can't stand up there. I don't remember being able to.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a lot shorter, but I could be wrong because, I mean, the last time I've seen that house, well, it was at my grandchild's birthday party. And that was like 2-3 years ago.
Last time I was in the house, neither one of us had a driver's license yet, so the only time I was ever in the attic space part was if we thought we heard an animal or we were ditching school and one of your parents came home.
I wonder if we ever got any pictures that had weird shit in it and we never noticed. I need to go back and like look through photo albums of all the pictures, because my mom and them, like, they took a lot of pictures back then.
Yeah.
She's got photo albums full of pictures from that house and that time, because we lived there a long time. Like, I was a baby till I was 15 before we moved out.
We were teenagers, and so many memories in that house though.
Yeah.
Of course you have more than I do, but even I have a lot of memories in there.
Yeah, there really is.
You remember this? My Zima.
Oh my god, that's so funny, because I was gonna say that to you earlier, that thought. What was in my head? My sister. No, not the Zima! Hilarious.
That was a you had to have been there moment.
People are gonna be like, what? I don't get it.
There's one person, or it's actually two other people that will get that. Your sister and your mom.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, click the little bell to get notified every time we upload. And until next time,